cannot express how long I've waited to add this incredible figure to my ongoing stock of Transformers Generation / Combiner Wars collection. So much anticipation and excitement went into weeks of hunting down the Decepticon leader with no prevail as the outcome. That being said, what you're looking at is a steal from an Amazon seller willing to sell this somewhat of a masterpiece fill-in to others for the insane price point of similar to what you would be paying at most retailers. So I'm not complaining here. So with most generations, Combiner Wars packaging is what you would expect, right? Right. The usual context of the box follows, as with the nice artwork and character's name on the bottom left, Hasbro's brand logo on the bottom right, the misaligned Generation stamp on the top right corner, and finally, no, not really, this could go on forever, the bloody red Transformers trademark name sliding down the edge of the package. Trading to the back of the box awaits the bio for Megatron and some nice shots of what the prototype looked like before. But when the dust cleared and Hasbro caved into the fan demand, Megatron has gone from a simple grayish white plastic toy into sweet Jesus! A rather rare point from Hasbro to give us a spot-on yet non-swirly silver streamline of G1 quality goodness. Yeah, I'm actually surprised. You think Hasbro, coming from a toy company that hardly paints their figures anymore, this is really good. Alright, if you can't take this as a step going in the right direction, then you're either not a fan of the color palette or just simply what I like to call a hates bro. All I can say to that is to just go with what your pocket has to say to your definition of pure satisfactory. One of the glorious things that I must point out on this figure is the true likeness to his character's G1 model within the sculpt of his cold-blooded face. Talk about no care for your fellow haters out there, am I right? And those demon red light piping eyes just adds to the mix. Articulation is there, but in hindsight it's rather a letdown that it makes posing this figure a big issue at times. But the real pain in my bottom have to be the ratchets within the legs. Just like Optimus, it's a really big deal when posing, and thanks to some of the design choices, you're forced to live with it this time. But on the bright side of things, hey look! Wrist joints are back! So when you go to threaten any Warvik foe, mainly an Autobot, Megatron can wield his signature cannon in the right direction, in the right placement. Megatron does come with a few items that makes my head turn, and for good reasons, such as why in the world would he need this thing when he's got this thing? It was very nice of Hasbro to add additional sticker sheets to this release to replicate the changes to the character within the IDW standards, but if you're gonna go out of your way to please your fan base, please make sure to check back on your source first, and you wonder why no one's using these. The only item that makes sense to come with this set has to be the projectile as shown here. Other weapons have no bounds like that of a spring-launching missile to a massive cannon attached to your right arm. So, I'm not gonna lie, some of the choices that were made needed a second glance and could have helped overall improve the appearance of the toy. But if I must pick out the obvious gripes to Megatron, I have to wonder why Hasbro decided that the G1 Toys color scheme was the best move. As I said earlier, there are other alternatives if this is very bothersome for you, but it all depends on what you're willing to spill for the later release that many will most likely race over one another for. For me, there's no doubt that Hasbro wasn't taking their time on this one, which has pleased me in many ways. The true echo from the fan base can be heard deep within the face sculpt and the overall look of the toy, that's a fact. Hasbro should really be patting themselves on the back for a fantastic job well done here. If I've had any issues with this toy that came out a bit harsh, just remember it's only me nitpicking on the problem that could have been avoided if a little more time went into this thing. This is truly a great start to this review. The overall robot mode just pitches a multitude of generations combined in a blender of pure awesomeness. Let's just hope that the same can be said for Megatron's next mode at hand. Wow. What on Cybertron is this supposed to be? A masterpiece within a basic figure? If so, then well done. Let's cut the equation down to the actuality here. Like for sure, we'll never see another official Megatron figure in the form of some type of gun. Anyone hoping for such a concept to make a much needed return someday, you better just hug your classics figure and never let go. Cause in today's society, Hasbro is catering to the laws of gun safety to the fullest, so a gun type former is a big no-no. Personally, I have no reason to complain about Megatron transforming into something that's worth fitting into due to the multitude of complications, just as long as the final results hits most of my needs. For example, a nice color palette? Check. A chunky concept to fit the character's personality? Check. An action feature within the mode? Check. No noticeable robot kibble sticking out like a sore thumb? Check. Rotatable tank turret with 360 degrees rotation? Check. Rubber treads with functional movement? Fucking A on that one. Well, there's hardly anything to nitpick about here. Megatron's tank mode has hit all my needs and has left a permanent impression of greatness all over this video review. It's a no-brainer as to why you should add this figure to your generation's Combiner Wars collection. It's Megatron, the closest perfected inspirational likeness to his Generation 1 counterpart in what seems like ages. Heck, is it actually Generation 1? That's hard to say. We may never forget the unexplainable shrinkage of the original Walther P-38 Transformer from those Saturday morning cartoons, and you never should. But let's be honest, these days when the tough gets going, the tough get rolling on rubber treads and steel armor plating for protection. I never had the experience of owning an original G1 Megatron figure. That time passed me so long ago, so this figure is and will be my exception point to that. Combiner Wars Megatron, if you ain't got one, buy one. Or two. After all, Armada Megatron revived the life of an awesome tank former, so why not show him some love for a change? Or not. Either way, a great action figure coming out of two great molds from two of the best generations of the Transformers ever expanding universe. But if you want to be the talk of the block, you should just go with the G1 mold. You didn't hear this from me. 20th Century Fox. You could say that articulation is a sheer improvement with the additional adage of ball-jointed wrists and ankles, but underneath that goodness is a sheer amount of flaws and plain old stability issues when posing the figure in its already limited posability.